It's time that we start talking about Auburn linebacker Xavier Atkins as one of the best linebackers in all of college football. He's been on an absolute tear the last few weeks and is really having a great second year in all of college football. He was at LSU in 2024 as a true freshman, didn't see the field a whole much naturally, but now in year two, he is having a breakout campaign for the Auburn Tigers. And I really want to dive in and kind of put him under the microscope in their most recent game against Arkansas from this past Saturday. All right, in this first clip, they're going to come out in a mint front, right? We're going to have these 2-4 eyes. These guys are inside shoulder of the tackle. They are B-gap players. With this front, you want to pinch everything inside and try to get this running back working laterally. Get everything out. They want to spill to the outside, get the linebacker working over the top, get it to the field. You're going to have your nickel to the field over here. Get the runs flowing laterally, right? We're going to have our zero, our head up nose. He's obviously occupying both A gaps, and we can't see him in the frame. But to our left, right, we're going to have the jack or the buck, however you want to describe it. He's opposite the nickel. So if anything goes out to the flat, he's first to the flat to cover him. Now, Xavier is going to play what's kind of called a stack track fallback technique, right? So some linebacker coaches, they coach their linebackers to be, zone linebackers where everything is coming downhill, right? Coming downhill, you see run, get downhill, no matter where it is. Now, what Xavier is going to do, and you can tell by the way he plays with his eyes and things of that nature, is he's going to come down and he's going to stack. But he's not just going to come screaming down. Now, he comes downhill with good pursuit. He's going to stack and then track the back coming this way. Now, the fallback would come if the run were to, start this way and then the back comes back this way, right? So instead of coming back down here and stopping, obviously, he would try to fall back into the back to match his path. But instead, obviously, we're going to see it play out, but it's not going to happen that way, right? He's just going to stack and track and kind of go from there. So we're just going to get split flow here from Arkansas from the pistol. And we see him reading this play the whole time, right? He's not fooled or he's not being pulled out of position by the split flow. 55 obviously can't get there in time, which is a huge help, a huge benefit for Atkins, and he's going to read this play all the way through. But ultimately, we're going to see him track that near hip and force forward to make a decision to try to cut, see the back, fill the hole, make a great effort to come downhill. All right, in this next clip, they have 7 on the line of scrimmage here. So we have Xavier mugged up on this B gap, kind of have all gaps accounted for on the line of scrimmage. We're just going to see him drop, right? And he's spying the quarterback. Now, this is obviously one of the things that he does really well, being, he's about 6 foot 210. So he's undersized by traditional standards, but he is really athletic and can really run, right? And we're going to see that here. A great example of closing, kind of getting that vice grip on a big athletic quarterback. And that's the thing too about a guy like Taylor Green. If you watch college football, just kind of how electric. If you play college football 25 and 26, the video game, right, how electric and tough he is to bring down. And being kind of having that combination of size and athleticism, being a big body player who can run and has strength and some power, like those guys are tough to bring down, right? It's not an easy task, to try to track near hip, kind of get your arms around him, right? A player that's got, maybe 5 or 6 inches on you and maybe, 20 to 30 pounds on you and bring him down with full force. But we see that, right? We see the strength from his core to his lower half, right? Just to wrap up and bring him down. And then obviously, right, we talked about, the first part, the closing speed, right? To track him down, get those arms around him, bring him down for the tackle. I know we've seen through the first 2 clips 2 really good examples of good linebacker play, right? The first one being disciplined with your eyes. Now, granted, split flow, kind of that split zone look, not always a false key or a false read necessarily for linebackers, but again, we saw him being patient, right? We saw the tight end action. We saw him keep his eyes in the backfield, knowing that's a pistol look, which is always, a tough read for the offense, right? When the back isn't offset, it kind of messes with your keys and your tendencies. It's not always easy to get a tell on what they want to do. But we saw him being disciplined with his eyes, right? We saw the tight end come across. We saw the running back take his angle in his track, right? He was aiming for that A gap, that B gap. And we saw him be disciplined, right? He beats the guard to the spot. Obviously, like we talked about, the guard releasing and getting there in time, wasn't the best process, but we saw him beat the guard to the spot and be active with his eyes and square with his shoulders. That's the other thing, that when you're watching linebackers, you want to see them be square to the line of scrimmage, right? You never want to see them be out of position with their upper body, because they need to be in a position to come downhill, scrape, and meet the ball carrier, meet blockers, things of that nature. So he's been square, good with his eyes. In the second clip, a little more of a highlight on his athleticism and really, his football IQ again, right? We we know football IQ and instincts is so important at that position. And we saw it there where he was mugging the B gap, drops, to spy a really athletic quarterback. And we see him, be patient in the spy, wait for the quarterback to get out of the pocket. And we see him track that near hip, full speed, make a decision and go, get downhill. And that's one of the really recurring themes in Xavier's game, is his ability to just trigger, right? Have a quick trigger, see it and go. And we saw that in clip 2. Now, clip 3, another really good example of linebacker play, right? We're going to see him here. Now, Auburn's in this under front, so we can't see it in our frame, but the 3 tech is set away from the strength. We have this kind of the 6 tech right here is Malik Autry, really a defensive tackle. But we see, they're going to get into that package where they kick him down, and they're going to have another edge rusher just outside this second tight end right here, real wide. And we're going to have Xavier kind of in this, what would be basically like a 40 backer, right? Because he's head up on the tackle, which would make him a 4 technique. And again, they're going to get to the strength, right? Greet the tight end, get off a block, make a tackle. So another really good example of, like we said, good linebacker play, right? We've talked about the first 2 plays, what they highlighted, kind of good examples of linebacker play. But at the end of the day, right, you have to be able to get off blocks. Use your hands. Now, granted, this is a tight end as opposed to an offensive lineman, so we'll be fair to it. But nonetheless, like, you still have to be able to get off this block, right? This tight end is still probably 20 to 30 pounds heavier than you at least, maybe 15. But either way, right, you're at a weight disadvantage, and we see it, right? They're in pistol. He sees the back getting out on his track, right? We're getting polars here. Really just crack toss is kind of what it looks like they're trying. It looks like this is really what this is, right? Because you have the condensed tight end. He's trying to crack and seal 17, right? So the guard and the tackle can pull and get out. He's just going to get hands on, right? Crack. You have guard and tackle getting out, get hands on. Now that's just another part of what he does really well, right? He makes decisions quick and he moves quick, right? It's one thing to make the decision quick and kind of initiate your trigger, but just not have that burst, that quick twitch to really activate and kind of, complement that quick decision making. But he does both, right? He makes the decision, boom, hands on, beat this tight end to the outside. Don't let him kind of secure this outside shoulder here and pin my outside shoulder. Beat him to the spot. We've seen him turn this tight end's position and leveraging around. This is not where the tight end wants to be on this block. While doing that, you can see that he still has his eyes on the ball, on the back, right? Eyes on the ball, never leaves it, beats the tight end to the spot, and then helps make a tackle. So I want to run this through once more in its entirety because, again, I think it really highlights, again, kind of this third component of really good linebacker play with being active with your eyes, being active with your decisions, using your hands, right? Playing off of blocks. Those are all must-haves at that linebacker spot. And again, obviously this Auburn defense is very, very talented, very well schemed, very well coached, all that stuff. But he's a huge component of it, right? And we're seeing why. Making plays, around the line of scrimmage. I think that's the thing that gets lost in translation with linebacker play and the tackle numbers that you see from these guys. Looking at the average depth of tackle is always a huge component to this. But man, he has 3 plays that we've seen. He's making plays around the line of scrimmage, preventing big plays from happening, and just being gap sound, being disciplined, right? Especially a linebacker. That's where you'll see a lot of big play possibilities, right? Linebackers getting out of really front 7, being out of position, not fitting the run well, not being in their gaps, not being gap sound like we just talked about. But we see him again just being active with his hands, beat this tight end to the spot, and make a great play on the ball. All right, so we're going to get another odd front from Auburn here, right, with this 0 head-up nose who's likely going to be tasked with 2 gapping. We're going to get this heavy 5 right here, and number 10 we're going to have is kind of this 6 tech, right, splitting between the tackle and the tight end. Now, the 2 backers that we have here are essentially 30 backers, right? So kind of similar to what we mentioned earlier in the video. If they were to walk down, they'd be 3 techs, right? So that's where that term kind of comes from. Now, this is designed to help alleviate some of the stress put on by these bubbles, right? These uncovered areas that teams generally want to run to. So we're going to get into this. We're going to let it run. And we can see, obviously, in Arkansas's backfield, we kind of have this H-back right here. And again, we're in the pistol look, right? So depending on film study and tells, there's no telling what Arkansas wants to do out of this look. Again, when you get into pistol, kind of helps them hide what some of their tendencies and what they want to do and things of that nature. But we're going to let this run, and we're going to see on the start that really it looks like, at least, obviously, I don't know what they're 100% being asked to do, but it looks like this is really more of kind of a bad fit from Xavier. Right, so we're going to see 47 come off again. He's kind of in that heavy 5, and he's not even going to strike the tackle. Right now, what we can't see in the frame is number 24, who's really on the same plane as these 2 linebackers, but he's further off. He's 247's right. And so he's really kind of playing almost like an overhang technique, overhang tight, but he's going to be designed to take on that tackle, whereas 47, while kind of head up, like I said, heavy, kind of that heavy technique, he's going to strike the guard. We have 35 taking on the center, and you can kind of see that Xavier's taking his steps inside. And he and 0 are not really, this is not really the spacing that you want, right? Because now they have a hat on a hat, 3-on-3. We have, the H-back coming around, possibly bluffing, right? Like he's going to block and then to lead up and then, obviously leave 10 kind of compromised or exposed because they'd be reading him and bluffing and pulling up to the next coming defender, safety, whoever it is, to take him and pick him up. And it's really looking like a well-designed run, right? Just kind of zone bluff, right? Now, going back to the linebackers, if he gives this, right, we see that there's a lane, right? If he gives this, now he's been sealed, and now there's an opportunity for this run to potentially pick up some big yardage. Obviously, you have a one-on-one situation with the running back and the safety right here coming down. Obviously, the offense is, always going to feel good about their one-on-one situation, right? They're always going to trust their running backs to make guys miss no matter who you are, where you are. So not really a great fit necessarily. Now, again, we see him being obviously active with his eyes, following the bluff, the arcing tight end, arcing H-back. Now, again, this could be something that they've seen on film, could be a tendency that they trust, that they know that when they get this look, that they are going to read it, right? Maybe they haven't seen any design runs from this formation, from this look, so he knows that it's a read. Could be that. Obviously, we don't know 100%. But I do know that, obviously, if it is something that, could be a designed run that they haven't really specified and said, like, hey, when we get this look, it is 100% a read, then obviously Arkansas is going to have numbers and they might have a big play coming. But nonetheless, right, he beats the guard to the spot. Guard's obviously, trying to seal and pin him in. And we're going to see Xavier fight through it. And again, chase down and make a great tackle on the quarterback, right? Again, we talk about tracking that near hip. Look at this angle he's taking right here. We'll pause it right here. This is perfect time to pause it, right? We see, and again, the tight end, we'll slide it this way. The tight end has bluffed and arced, right? So this, again, well-designed play, if not for the backside linebacker getting to the ball faster than I think Arkansas would have anticipated and obviously would have liked. But again, we're going to see Xavier track that near hip and make a great tackle on the ball. Just a really, really good play overall. All right, we're going to end on this clip of him in coverage because, no evaluation or film breakdown of a linebacker is complete without seeing them do something in coverage. And we can see this kind of playing out, right? Number 19's walk down, and he's going to become this flat player, right? So anything that comes out into the flat, he's going to be responsible for. And it's really going to play out as 3 sky, right? Cover 3 sky. Because as you can see, we have, now 1, 2, 3, 4 underneath defenders and 3 deep defenders. Basic cover 3 sky look. Everyone's dropping to their hooks and their zones. We see, obviously, that safety picking up 2. And we saw the switch right here between 1 and 2, right? And 1 is just going to run this sit route. So he's going to sit down in the zone, kind of a switch sit concept, however you want to call it. Now, they might have a man match principle, right? He might be designed to take number 2 as he's running vertically. But again, eyes on the quarterback. So it looks like they're just playing, traditional 3 sky. Now, our guy Xavier here is a hook player, right? So if anything comes out, like number 3 is coming towards him, he is designed to kind of handle that zone, handle that area, handle anything that comes in. So again, he has eyes on the quarterback too, right? Drifting to the hook to try to take away, obviously, that area because he's, as you can see, like no one else is generally responsible for that hook zone, that hook area. Now, Arkansas running this kind of switch sit concept does a really good job of finding and attacking zone coverage, right? This was designed to do. He's going to sit down in the zone, in the void, and Xavier's going to get on his horse and track it all the way down. Right, so we're going to see Xavier just drifting, covering up zones, right? There's no immediate threat outside of that number 3 receiver who's come towards him, but we can't see it in the frame, but the quarterback doesn't have eyes there. The quarterback has eyes on these 2. So we know, right, with him probing kind of the quarterback's eyes and plans, right, his eyes are going to take him to the ball naturally. So we're going to see Xavier see that, right? Now the ball's been caught, transition upfield, close on the ball, and force the fumble, punch it out, and now we have a turnover. I mean, just a great play across the board. And we'll get into the end zone view here to get a better shot, right? And we can kind of see it with Xavier again. Taking his zone drop, dropping to his hook zone. No immediate threat like we talked about outside of number 3. We can kind of see, obviously, Taylor Green, right, with his head positioning. He is in no way going to be looking in this general area, right? Like he maybe in his peripherals, but that's not where he is looking to make a decision. So we're going to see him make the throw, and we're going to see Xavier get on his horse and just close on the ball, man. Really punch it out. We'll move this here so you can see it a little bit better. Get on his horse, punch the ball out, and now we've got a turnover going back the other way. So, again, you can see why I'm saying that he is playing like one of the best linebackers across the country. Obviously, this is just a glimpse into the most recent game against Arkansas, but we saw some of the production early on in the video from, this past couple weeks and really this season. But again, he's playing like one of the best linebackers in all of college football, and he's just a young cat. It's only his second year of college football, and to be able to do it at the linebacker position where reps are so important and having seen it, and again, playing with instincts, playing with recognition, right? That's so valuable and it creates so much success at that position. So for him to be doing it at a high level at this age, I think really kind of highlights and encapsulates who he is as a player. So man, continue following Xavier Atkins. If you like good linebacker play, that's a good one to tune into every week.